Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I've been putting up, be sure to subscribe so you always know when a new video pops up. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's get into the video. Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. This time, we're covering the third part of the Crystal Tower storyline. When we last left off, the clones Unai and Doga had opened the door to the Crystal Tower and tasked you with helping them put an end to Emperor Zan before he could destroy the world. Inside of the tower, you face off against the scientist Amon's experiments, like Scylla, a former Allegan archmage who Amon tricked into undergoing one of his experiments. He had told her that she would end up with eternal life when he was done with her, but when she woke from the procedure, he had replaced her head with a pack of wild dogs. That should not be funny, but it kind of is. I have a messed up sense of humor. There are also more clones of Unai and Doga that you have to contend with, as well as Glacia Labolas, a loyal commander of the Imperial Honor Guard who Amon successfully granted eternal life to until you poke him with a lot of sharp things to end all of his living. You then have the pleasure of ending Amon himself before coming face to face with Zan. After taking down the Emperor, Unai and Doga decide how they will seal off the tower for good, while Nero, obviously, plans some mischief of his own. They can either separate the tower from the outside world or block its ability to produce energy, turning it into nothing more than a shiny building. She leaves it up to you to decide, but first she and Doga have to deal with the rift that opened above the throne after Zan fell. The rift is a portal into the void, the world of darkness as the Allegans called it. You may know it better as the 13th Shard, the one that the Ascians accidentally destroyed when they first began their attempts at rejoining all the shards together, and the darkness Zan was trying to channel was, of course, an army of Voidsent. Zan had made a magical pact with the Voidsent leader. In exchange for them working for him, he would open a void gate that would give them free access to the source, your world. Meaning, in short, Voidsent would no longer have to make pacts with mages or get summoned into lesser bodies to get here. They would be able to come and go as they pleased. Having fought countless Voidsent, you should know that having an entire planet full of them coming to visit would not be a good idea. Even though Zan is dead, the contract he made has not been broken, but since the clones share his bloodline, they can end the deal. They reach out to seal the rift, and while they work, Nero's device begins to go haywire as something more powerful than anything he's ever seen approaches. From within the rift, a voice says that the Covenant will not be broken so easily before an army of clones appear, sparking a vision from the Echo. That really needs to stop happening when fighting's about to start. You see Zan sitting on his throne in front of a small group of clones talking about how Mera City has been taken and it won't be long before everything is under Allegan rule. But he still sees visions of his death and the void he floated in when his life came to an end. And despite all of his power, he's scared to die again, knowing that all that he's accomplished will mean nothing once he's gone. It's at that moment that he decides to destroy everything. If everything ends in nothing anyway, he'll make sure that he doesn't experience it alone. To bring about the end, he tells his people to draw more power into the tower so he can allow the Cloud of Darkness full access to the world so she can consume it all. You bounce out of the vision in the middle of a full-scale battle. Sid and the others are holding off the clones, but more and more keep coming. All of them are being controlled by a massively powerful Voidsent that reaches out of the rift and snatches Unai and Doga. Nero, wanting to master the power of darkness himself and needing the clones to do it, rushes forward to save them, only to be captured and pulled into the rift with them. From within the rift, the Cloud of Darkness speaks, letting you know that she intends to consume the light and return your world to the void before the rift closes and the clones collapse. Not knowing what else to do, you all leave the tower to see if Rambros has any ideas. He's shocked to hear about all that happened, but he's positive that the rift that opened was a void gate. Geniuses really have a knack for stating the obvious. There are a lot of different types of Voidsent, and the more powerful the creature, the larger the gate has to be for them to come through. To let something as powerful as the Cloud of Darkness through will require a massive gate unlike any that had ever been made before. To put things into perspective the best way I can, the Cloud of Darkness is probably the equivalent of Eden, but where Eden emitted a flood of light on the first, the Cloud of Darkness obviously emitted a flood of darkness. I am going to have to do some research to find out just why the Voidsent are so much more intelligent than the Sin Eaters. I mean, they're a stupid void scent like those floating eyeballs, for instance. But between Diabolos, Ferdiad, Scathah, Lilith, and the Cloud of Darkness, void scent are clearly more evolved than their light ether counterparts. And it could be because the Sin Eaters have only existed for about 100 years, while if time sped up on the 13th shard the same way it did on the first, there's no telling how many thousands of years have passed since the first void scent came about. But that's just a theory. In any case, Rambros doesn't know how to help your friends. There are no documented cases of people entering the void. It's possible that your friends died the minute they were pulled through the rift. Regardless, G'raha refuses to give up on saving Unai and Doga, not only because he feels connected to them because of his eye, but if you don't save them, there will be no way to break the bargain Zan made with the Cloud. Cid agrees, mainly because if you leave Nero where he is, there's no telling what kind of trouble he could cause. Honestly, even though he would never admit it, he still considers Nero a friend. So they all get to work on figuring out how to get your friends back. With so many geniuses working on the problem, you know it won't take long for them to solve it. Sadly, their research into how to save your friends reveals something else. The Crystal Tower is still absorbing energy, and without Unai and Doga, there's no way to stop that either. From what Nero's tombstone told them, in ancient times, Allagan royalty had a method of giving their blood to others. That was the only reason Amon and the others could even control the tower, since they weren't royalty. You don't have that ability, and since the tower has built up so much energy, blowing it up will cause an immeasurable amount of damage to the world, maybe even worse than the last calamity. G'raha does have an idea. Since the energy is being absorbed to open a void gate anyway, you can use the energy to open a gate of your own that will let you pass into the world of darkness. Cid is already working on the project, and in true Cid fashion, he's already done. With time slipping away, you all head back to the tower. Cid has his team power up his machine, and a portal into the world of darkness opens. However, it's not stable, and it won't be open for long. Cid decides to stay behind to keep the gate open for as long as he can, while you go to rescue your friends. But this time, G'raha decides to come with you. He's felt himself changing since he met the clones. Something's been bothering him, something that he can't remember, and he feels that it's forcing him to see all of this through with his own eyes. So it's into the world of darkness you both go. Void scent litter every corner of the darkness-covered world, forcing you to do battle with everything from clones of Zan himself to a massive 5-headed dragon that Amon had built to face off against the dragon legions of Mericidia. Seems like your friends weren't the only things that the Cloud of Darkness drew into the void. Finally, you come face to face with the Cloud of Darkness herself, and you manage to push her back long enough for Nero to show up, carrying an unconscious Unai with Doga by his side. The wounds he had taken had allowed the darkness of the void to disrupt the ether of his body, making him look like a purple glow stick. The contract that Zan made with the Cloud protects Unai and Doga from suffering the same fate. The Cloud can't kill them herself, which is why she brought them there so other Void Scent can do the job. They both would have been long dead had Nero not protected them, something he makes sure to remind you that he only did for his own reasons. Unai wakes up, and seeing you there, she believes that they still have a chance to complete the mission and break the contract linking the Cloud to your world. Of course, the Cloud is having none of that, and she lashes out. You couldn't possibly hope to kill her in her world, but she's struggling to hold her form together after your battle, which makes the clone think this is their best chance to break the covenant. But you all have to leave now, because once that link is severed, the bridge linking the world of darkness to the Crystal Tower will vanish. G'raha pleads with the clones to come with you because they are the only ones who can shut down the tower, and while he's talking, the Cloud shoots him, only to discover that she can't hurt him either. The reason he has the Allagan eye is because he is a direct descendant of not just any Allagan bloodline, but Zan's very own, which means he can use the Crystal Tower too. The clones believe that in an attempt to keep the Allagan bloodline alive, someone must have implanted their gifts into G'raha's ancestors. The Crystal Tower won't recognize him as Allagan because his blood is so diluted, but the clones share their own power with him, so he will have full access to the tower. When the transfer is complete, both of G'raha's eyes turn red, allowing his Allagan nature to be fully revealed. Not wanting to die, you, Nero, and G'raha sprint away, while Unai and Doga stay behind to finish their mission. The gate is closing as you all race across the bridge, but the corruption in Nero's body makes it hard for him to keep up. He tells you to leave him, and after hearing a voice saying that the Crystal Tower needs to once again become a beacon of hope for mankind, you leave Nero behind. The clones manage to break the covenant, which also frees Nero from the corruption, and although the gate is nearly closed when he reaches it, Cid reaches through and pulls Nero out in the nick of time. Everyone's happy to see that you made it back, but they're sad to hear about the fate of the clones. Fortunately, G'raha can seal the tower, although he needs a moment to rest first. He decides to hang back in the tower for a moment while you all head back to camp. Back at the camp, while you're all discussing the series of events you just went through, a member of the Sons of St. Cornoc come running up, screaming about how G'raha ordered them all out of the tower. He's acting strange, so you all rush back to see what's gotten into him. He stops you as you get closer, warning you that the door to the tower has already started to close, and he's staying inside, as he finally understands his purpose. After Zan caused the calamity, survivors stood in the ruins looking for the tower, but it was gone. However, they prayed that it would return to them since it had become a beacon of hope for their people. The last member of the royal line who had survived the destruction, Princess Selena, heard their cries, so she used her resources to implant her blood and memories into G'raha Tia's ancestor, so that one day, one of them could return the tower to its former glory. Unai and Doga giving him their blood also gave him the memories of his ancestor, and he plans on fulfilling their dream of making the tower a beacon of hope to the world as it was in ancient times. But as the world is now, the tower's powers are far too advanced, and people trying to use it without having the knowledge of the most basic Allegan tech could be disastrous. But if they wait for the world to catch up, then the Allegan bloodline may be long dead and the tower would be useless, which is why G'raha decided to stay inside of the tower. Knowing what he knows now, he can put the tower to sleep like Amon did, and he will remain inside, immortal, until the day someone figures out how to open the door. Then and only then will he share the knowledge and power of the tower with the world. While you all hate to lose your friend, you know that he's right. As the gates seal, Sid and the others vow to catch up to Alad quickly so you can all be reunited. But until then, many adventures await you, on this world and on others. This concludes the story of the Crystal Tower. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video.